Hi everyone, Mr. Ahmed here. So we had a bit of difficulty creating our zoo. Maybe some of us weren't quite sure what I mean by enclosure. An enclosure is an area where you keep an animal, and you need it to be fairly spacious so the animal stays happy. So for my lion, you can see that he has an area of 120 meters squared. That means that the length is 12 meters and the width is 10 meters. And if you multiply 12 by 10, you will get 120. And 120 is the area of that enclosure. I've got the cheetah's enclosure over here. As you can see, it's not very wide, but it is very long, so he can go running up and down his enclosure. The total area would be 40 times 4, 4, 8, 12, 16. So the total area is 160 meters squared, which I've written up there, but the camera's covering it. My reptile enclosure is probably the smallest enclosure. As you can see, it only has a size of 90 meters squared. And it's fairly long, 90 meters long and only 1 meter wide. So it's relatively small. The reason why I've made it slightly smaller than the other enclosures is because reptiles in general, they're less active than mammals. And it's not that wide because they don't tend to get very wide. They tend to be a lot longer than they are wide. You don't have to draw it the way I've drawn it. The most basic way you can draw it is just a simple square with the meters labeled on the side, or centimeters. So this is a reconstruction of the lion enclosure. So rather than drawing a 3D version, I've drawn a 2D square. This is what the ground would look like from a bird's eye view. Of course, it's not to scale because this isn't actually 12 meters and this isn't actually 10 meters, which is what we mean by not drawn to scale. For those of us who finished this yesterday, I've got a different task for you today. And for those of us who finished this today, you will move on to this task eventually. Your task is to calculate the perimeter of all your enclosures. So for example, the lion enclosure, to calculate the perimeter, I have to add up all of the sides. So it would be 12 meters, that's one side, drop now, plus 12 meters, that's the opposite side, plus 10 meters, that's the shorter side, plus one more 10 meter. And altogether there should be 4 sides because the rectangle has 4 sides. 12 plus 12 is 24, 34, 44. So 44 meters would be the perimeter. You can write this on a separate sheet